You know, sometimes what looks like one of the biggest success stories in global shipping isn't really a success story at all. In fact, it can be a huge red flag that the entire system is under some serious stress. It's a mystery that starts with a single port, and one absolutely enormous number.
And here it is, over 10 million. That's how many shipping containers passed through Morocco's Tangier Medport just last year. It's a record-breaking number, the kind that makes headlines all over the world. But what is it really telling us?
And yeah, that's the central question, isn't it? A number like that? Well, it should mean global trade is absolutely booming. But the truth? It's a lot more complicated than that. This isn't a story about growth. It's a story about diversion.
To really get to the bottom of how Tangier's traffic just blew up, we have to zoom out and look at the bigger picture. We're talking about a series of global shocks that have been just hammering supply chains for years now.
Man, the last few years have been relentlessly turbulent. First, you had the pandemic, which created these historic log jams at ports. Ships were literally waiting for weeks just to unload. Then, the war in Ukraine completely redrew the map for energy and trade. But it was the crisis in late 2023 that didn't just strain the system. It basically shattered one of the most important shipping routes on the planet.
So, faced with some really serious safety risks and insurance costs that were just going through the roof, all the major shipping lines, Maersk, MSC, you name it, they had to make a critical decision. They would start avoiding the Suez Canal, which is, the world's most important maritime shortcut.
And this kicked off what people are now calling the Great Rerouting. Ships were forced to forget about the Suez shortcut and take the long way around Africa's Cape of Good Hope. And this is not a minor detour, okay? We're talking about an extra 15 days to a typical round-trip voyage between Asia and Europe. It's a huge deal.
This one seemingly simple change completely flipped the script on global shipping. I mean, for decades the logic was simple. Ships came into the Mediterranean from the east, through the Suez, so their first stop was a port in, say, Egypt. Now, they're coming in from the west. And that changes absolutely everything.
And that gets us to the absolute heart of the matter. Tangier didn't just magically get a boom in new business. Nope, it just happened to become the new, most logical first stop for all the existing traffic that was now forced to take this completely different path.
You don't have to take my word for it. Listen to how industry expert Mahmoud Al-Qadi explains it. He just nails it, right? It was a relocation of traffic that was already there. The same boxes, on the same ships, were just getting dropped off at a different doorstep, because the front door was, well, temporarily closed.
And the data here just paints the perfect picture. You can see it clear as day. As the container volume at Egyptian ports took a nosedive, Tangier shot straight up. But look at the total volume moving through the Med. It barely budged. It was a perfect zero-sum game. Every container that disappeared from the east just poof, reappeared in the west.
Okay, so this shift is a temporary win for Tangier, for sure. But for the entire shipping industry, this new, longer route is creating a massive economic problem, one that is simply not sustainable in the long run.
It really sets off this powerful chain reaction. Think about it. To maintain a weekly service on a route that's now way longer, you suddenly need more ships. A fleet that used to have 11 vessels might now need 15 just to keep up. And that immediately drives up costs for everything. Chartering more ships, hiring more crew, and, oh yeah, burning a lot more fuel. And here's where the economic squeeze really hurts. While their operating costs have skyrocketed because of this rerouting, the rates they can actually charge for shipping have dropped way back down. So you've got this massive gap between super high costs and low revenue, and that makes the whole situation pretty much impossible to maintain long-term.
So what's the long-term play here? Well, while all this chaos is happening, Egypt isn't just sitting back and waiting for things to get better. No way! It's making a massive bet on the future, getting ready not just to get its traffic back, but to dominate global shipping on a scale we really haven't seen before. And the foundation is already there. I mean, Egypt already has a massive base of 14 container terminals. That's an infrastructure powerhouse just sitting there, waiting for these shipping routes to inevitably snap back to the most logical path.
What's really fascinating to me is that even during this crisis, a whopping 70% of Egypt's port traffic is transshipment. That means it's cargo that isn't even for Egypt. It's just stopping there before getting loaded onto another ship to continue its journey. This just proves Egypt's unshakable role as a global hub, not just some local market.
And the country is doubling down on this natural advantage, pouring billions into new terminals and massive expansions all along its coastline.
The goal is simple. Make sure that when, not if, shipping routes normalize, Egypt will have so much capacity it can handle even more volume without the kind of congestion we saw during the pandemic.
And this is the key takeaway. Egypt isn't just planning to get its old business back. It's building for a whole new era. They're aiming to become a logistics superpower that can handle 15 to 20 million transit containers alone. That's basically double its current crisis-level volume.
Ultimately, the whole story of the Tangier port mystery brings us to this one very powerful conclusion. While political instability can cause these temporary disruptions, the fundamental logic of economics and the undeniable advantage of geography, well, those are forces you just can't fight forever. The shortest path will always be the most efficient path. And in this business, efficiency always wins.